The full impact was seen in the moment in time. My colleague Stephen Evans, who was in the Trade Center and was interviewed just after the first explosion.
There was another big explosion in the other tower. Flames coming out in this billowing grey smoke. People still not panicking. People not quite understanding what was going on. Then somebody said that they saw an airliner go into one of those towers. Then, I don't know, an hour later than that, we had that big explosion from much lower. I don't know what on earth caused that. The thing that strikes me is, one, the terribleness of the incident, whatever the cause, and we don't go into politics, but whatever the cause, the terribleness, the hugeness of what's happened. So huge, in fact, that most of the people around simply can't understand what happened. People were just standing around, talking to each other, nodding their heads. Oh my God. We gotta go. Oh my God.
BBC's Ron Insana, who went down with a cameraman hoping to get close to the World Trade Center, and then it began to come down. The first one. Ron, take us through what you experienced.
Well, Tom, much of the area had been, in fact, cordoned off, and the cameraman from MSNBC and I were trying to get across to the west side of the World Trade Center in order to hook up with the rest of the NBC crews that we knew were there. As we were moving towards the building, we saw the top begin to blow out in a plume of smoke, and we heard the noise associated with an implosion. We turned and immediately...
You heard the building collapse, right, Mr. Insana?
We saw the top begin to blow out in a plume of smoke, and we heard the noise associated with an implosion.
Now surely, Mr. Insana, you realize your journalistic integrity is at stake here. Now you heard the building collapse, right? You heard the noise associated with collapse, right?
As we were moving towards the building, we saw the top begin to blow out in a plume of smoke, and we heard the noise associated with an implosion. We turned and immediately ran for cover in the other direction as debris began to rain down.
Okay, Mr. Insana, so you say you saw the top of the World Trade Center blow out, and you heard the noises associated with an implosion. Well, what else did you see?
Absolutely. Much like the images that were created for the movie Independence Day, when New York was exploding, the corridors of Lower Manhattan are so narrow and channel so much wind, even just on a plain windy day, that this material blew through in a way that was really unimaginable. It was truly frightening.
Thank you for your statements, Mr. Insana, and I, for one, appreciate your honesty, candor, and patriotism for bringing this information about 9/11 to light. Thank you so much.
The images that were created for the movie Independence Day, when New York was exploding, when New York was exploding, when New York was exploding, when New York was exploding.
I think the worst thing that we could do as Americans is pretend like this doesn't happen. There are millions of Americans that believe that 9/11 was an inside job.
I saw an individual coming down that was clearly, he was completely burned from head to toe, and all of his skin had come off his forearms and his face, and his hair was all gone, and looked a little disoriented. So he seemed to be on his cell phone, either talking to somebody or trying to reach somebody. And I asked him what happened. What was amazing about his story was that he was in the lobby of World Trade Center 1 when the first plane hit, and when the debris started coming down, he went back to go into the building to protect himself and was in the revolving doors going back in off West Street when he looked up and a fireball came flying out, I guess from the elevator shafts, that's what he seemed to believe, and blew out all the windows and threw him back onto the street, and obviously, you know, in a fire flash, seared all his skin. But apparently nothing, you know, all his clothes, none of his clothes were burned. So that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, amazing, all right. An amazing crock of shit. So we're supposed to believe that a fireball travels 80-some floors down an elevator shaft, blows open the elevator shaft, knocks this guy down through the windows, blows out all the windows, and just chooses to burn his face. I think it's a safe assumption to say that the percussion wave from an explosion sheared his skin off. But let's see what firemen had to say that were actually in the lobby.
Fear and terror.
Firefighter John Schroeder arrived in the lobby of the North Tower shortly after the first plane struck.
So we're standing there in the lobby, we're getting all together, All of a sudden, we hear... I look down to my right, and the elevators exploded, something out of like a Bruce Willis Die Hard movie. People just come running out of the elevators, on fire, fireballed. I mean, it was like, what is going on here? Something's up here. I mean, the plane's up there, now there's fire down here. People who run around all on fire. This is crazy. So we were heading up to the 24th floor of the stairwell, and all of a sudden we heard, Mayday, Mayday, second plane, second plane. Swift, we're looking at each other like, come on, second plane? There's no way there's a second plane. Within seconds, our building got rocked. We got bounced around in the stairwell like pinballs, man. And we just said, you know what? Time to go. We got down to the lobby, and everything was blown out, exploded. Everything was... we were the only ones in the lobby now. We're going, wait a second here. Where is everybody? Because the building was coming down the outside. They moved to the command post, the World Trade Center, too. So now we're like, we didn't get no, where is everybody? We were in the lobby. It looks like everything was exploded. Everything was gone. We're like, what is going on here? We didn't know. We were like, this is crazy. But for every window in the lobby to be exploded, I mean, them windows were like as thick as forget it. They were 2-3-inch glasses. You know, come on. They exploded out of the lobby. You know, something. It wasn't from the jet fuel. No way. The elevators exploded. They were down from the lobby. The lobby was over here. That should never have happened. Something would happen there, and that wasn't. We came down. It looked like a bomb went off in the lobby. There was no fire. It just looked like a bomb went off.
Explosions.
And even the turnstile was burnt and was sticking up, and they just told us to run.
I heard the first explosion, and the elevator blew up.
And as we were coming out, we passed the lobby. There was no lobby. So I believe the bomb hit the lobby first, and a couple of seconds then the first plane hit.
Pfeiffer was the first chief into the building. Right away, a guy from the Port Authority told him the damage was somewhere above the 78th floor. But all you had to do was look around. It was obvious. Something had happened right there in the lobby.
You just saw that all the windows were blown out.
The lobby looked like the plane hit the lobby.
On 9/11, New York City lost 343 firefighters at the World Trade Center. Since they were the ones inside the towers before and as they collapsed, I'd say they've got a pretty good grasp on what happened.
6 stories high, and the lobby looked as though a bomb had exploded there. All the glass was taken out. There were 10-foot by 10-foot marble panels that were once walls. They were loose from the wall of the Trade Center.
Firefighter Louis Caccioli told People Weekly, "I was taking firefighters up in the elevator to the 24th floor to get in position to evacuate workers. On the last trip up, a bomb went off. We think there were bombs set in the building."
Okay, I'm just going to make a common sense observation here. The north and south towers were both 110 stories each. Where's all the concrete? All I see is piles and piles of steel all over the ground.
You have 2 110-story office buildings. You don't find a desk. You don't find a chair. You don't find a telephone, a computer. The biggest piece of a telephone I found was half of the keypad, and it was about this big. The building collapsed to dust.
Horrific. I mean, tons of business went out, right? And for them to be complicit in this, they all ought to be behind bars.
Well, I appreciate you joining us, Mr. Doyle. God bless you, and we really support your efforts. We have links to your organizations on Infowars.com.